we people know what are the issues involved in the election, what are the issues involved in society, so that they can exercise their rights. They asked me, I think I was just now saying about the media should be responsible. But that is right. See, I become a bit uncomfortable when I hear about media being responsible. Because in Pakistan, from my young days until now, I've always heard media being responsible. When media dared to say anything about it, first of all it did, but all General Jawala, first of all it did, if they dared to say not responsible. When media talked about Kargil, how the Musharraf was losing the war, we couldn't say that, although it was in the interest of Pakistan, irresponsible. The army tells media that certain matters we should not be touched because it would be irresponsible. Position is that media in the democratic country, well-established democracy, has a different role. You've heard about what's happening here, you've heard about it. But media in the third world is very important. And for the first time we see in Pakistan, media being independent. This really I am sad that 24 journalists have died in a democratic or semi-democratic period. They didn't die. They were not killed in General Jawala's case. They were not killed in the dictatorship. But why? Because now, in a democratic time, freedom comes. And the journalist then talks about freedom. Now, the important thing, as Ashari said, I don't want to mention a lot of things. The most important thing in Pakistan, what's happening, there are scandals which people will never. The massive corruption in Hajj scandal, where people going on Hajj, very important situation, and ministers are involved taking bribes from Hajjis. Now this is something which will not be heard in Pakistan. Nobody will know because the media will not be different if it was about 10 years ago. But then they wrote it, and it goes together. Independent judiciary, rule of law, and independent media. That's the only guarantee of democracy. You have two things, not only independent media, but judiciary. That's happening in Pakistan, that phase. Media writes the thing, and Supreme Court takes notice. It is a very wide abuse, like I mentioned about the Hajj scandal. Now, similarly, just now, what's happening. Once upon a time, it would have worked. That there is a man who is making a lot of money, a millionaire, who has got the army man in their pocket, politician in his pocket, huge building empire he's got. He's calling media men quietly to create a whispering campaign, showing documents, saying Chief Justice's son is involved. And it's all going on because that is being done because the Supreme Court taking action, so some people don't like it. That scandal would have gone on to destroy democracy and the supreme independence of judiciary, but luckily the judicial notice is taken. Why? Because one man in the media, sitting in America, exposes it. There is a program and then it says that this is happening. From there, other TV takes it and the Chief Justice takes a judicial notice about his son. You know what I'm talking about, her son, the son of the Chief Justice. They say, well, he's taking money, etc., etc. And we know now that Chief Justice was not involved, even that man said. So the media, now things are happening, true, about the crime Lord Hussain was talking about. But in Pakistan, the thing which was not talked about, the kind of offences, the Jalga system, people being killed, nobody takes notice. Now they are coming into the open because there is a free media, nobody can stop it. And when that comes, people know what is happening. The corruption, the media is exposing it, and the courts takes it. So therefore, it's important that media works together with the court system, and that is very essential for democracy. As well as this country, you can see even here, just last I say, it was one part of the media which exposed the other part. News of the world would still be going on there. The Guardian will write, and other newspaper did start writing about the things. So here is okay, but in Pakistan, in the third world, the journalists are working in great difficult situation. Because A, they are facing the establishment, the government, B, their own owners. Because the owners there, the TV stations there are not there just to inform people, they are there for money. And therefore, the government is there, the advertising is also another role that advertisers play in media. And all these difficulties, then the journalists are the only people who stand and bear the pressure and bring forward the. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Qadri Saab. We will finish it by 8 o'clock, but I want to ask anybody who want to comment or question before I ask both speakers to just conclude and say their final remarks. Any question or comment?
Mr. Lashkari, you have done a good job. I hope.
Name, please, first your name, because a lot of people don't know. Habib Jan.
Habib Jan, I'm from Pakistan and I'm part of British as well. I think today is very serious and effective subject which is discussed over here, and I think it's a good effort by Mr. Lashkari and Third World Solidarity, and I hope, as Mr. Qadri said, in Pakistan what's going on, I think you people would support Pakistani media and judiciary as well. Inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comment? Convinced Mansa, I know you are a very journalist and columnist nowadays, columnist in the newspaper. You want to say something?
Well, I would only like to say thank you very much for asking me. The independence of media is something, the freedom in the media, it is something questionable as long as it is related to the democracy. Because the media itself, when, as you said, is the opinion maker thing. So when it makes the opinions, these are always biased. They certainly represent certain school of thought, certain fraction of society, certain fraction of governments. So all the media, what I see in West and in Pakistan, or the Pakistani media here, they all represent a certain school of thought, which ultimately, leads to certain answers to the issues which are, we can see in the society. So that is something which worries me, because that does not answer the real questions. When you are biased, of course, if the media is in the hands of a religious person, he would interpret the news in his own way. When it is in the hands of some democratic person, of course, it will be interpreted differently. So the freedom actually, is something which actually should be with the commitment to the actual essence of the issues. If we don't expose the real side of the issue, of course, then people are left behind to see the reality of the issue. So that is I think important for the journalists as well, to understand the actual essence of democracy and to affiliate them with that. So that is how I see it.
Thank you very much, Yes, Jamila.
Yeah, my name is Jamila from Ahvaz part of Iran. I just want to ask for, ask the journalist, and especially Mr. from BBC, please focus on what's going on in Iran, especially in Khuzestan, in Arab parts. Please raise our voice and make a small window to the world to see what's happening there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mira. As I said, there is Amir Amir Saidi sitting at the back. They are Ahwazi community, which are the Sunni Muslims in Iran living in Islam, and they are victimized. Am I right to say that?
Yeah.
And I think we will try to discuss it, to hold a meeting here to talk about your human rights issues. Sarwat Iqbal Sahab, do you want to say something? Serious journalist. I'm trying to ask journalists to...
Something I've been listening about the media, independence of media and independence of judiciary. Recently these days, the judiciary has become independent and the media is also free. But I don't think in reality it is the way it is being portrayed. Now, just a while ago, Barrister Supadullah Qadri referred a case of defamation, whatever it was, about the Chief Justice's son. And he took some notice on it, and they say that he was not involved. Fair enough, he was not involved. But it is very easy to look other people's crime and to forget or just to turn away from your own involvement. A person who is interested to look after all other people, the crimes and things like that, how come he was unaware of his son's activity, who all of a sudden became multimillionaire? He bears some responsibility. He is claiming to be independent. He has to be fair. The same way, the media, although they say it is independent, but now it is serving the vested interest. If you look at the TV program, they are tilted in one direction all the time. So I think, as Yasmin Qureshi MP said, that it has to be fair. Reporting is to be fair. It should be honest. And obviously, a person has liking or disliking. They have got view of thinking, but it has to be honest and fair.
Thank you very much. I think I said in the beginning, actually, some people came a bit late. I think the media or journalists have, the owners of the media and journalists have two roles. They are citizens of those countries where they are living as well. So they do play as individual their roles, but when it becomes collective role, it has to be very fair and honest as well. And when they are reporting, as I think Rita said in her remarks, if a journalist is sitting in this room, he cannot report what is happening in the other part of the parliament. He should be honest on that as well. And we should not expect that he is aware of all the things happening in House of Parliament because he is in room 3A. Any other comment before I ask? Yes, ma'am. Say your name and then I know.
I'm Farida Goldberg. I work for human rights in Pakistan and over here. I have a question which I would like to ask. I would like to know whether actually when a journalist is trained, are they bound by some particular code, and does that code include the human rights of people? So you're innocent, you're proven guilty. Do they actually have to follow that in reporting and don't discriminate? Are these part of the, something they have to abide by? And if they aren't, because in Pakistan, a lot of people have spoken about what's happening in Pakistan. I don't find it applied there at all. People just put whatever they want. The pictures, as we see on the TV, it's already they're guilty. There's no court. So is there something there that we can, as public, work towards? I think one of the important things that I think that everyone has to do is to raise their voice if the media is not doing something right. I think that is all our responsibility. So I think two areas I'd like your response to as to how we can bring that about.
Thank you very much, Frida. They will respond in their concluding remarks. Dr. Sabar, do you want to say something briefly?
Just reinforcing on what Khan Sahib has said. I'm ashamed to see the media this morning in Pakistan, how they're bashing the doctors. Doctors have got no structure there, and they are fighting for it, and what they're saying is that the rich elite keeps the money in their coffers. They don't want to distribute it evenly, not even to the doctors. And media is forcefully bashing it. There's such a disgraceful scripts going on the television that it's very blatant, one-sided, and they're saying that money is being paid to this media. So that is something to be considered.
Thank you. Shakil Chuktai Sahib is from Germany. He is based in Berlin and he is running a radio, a journalism and a lot of other things. He is also a poet. So can I ask you to just say a few words?
Yeah, actually the main thing which I am running is the People's News Agency, APRA International, the first news agency for Asian community, which is promoting the Asian activities in the whole world in the Urdu media. It's print media or websites or everything, more than 150 sites. I think that both gentlemen from the area, we are talking about the freedom of media, but I'm talking about the control of media. A little bit control should be there, because they are not following sometimes the ethics of media, and they are really, I mean, 80%, I can say 80% of the media is which you call in Pakistan lifafa media. They are getting from somewhere the money, and they are promoting this party or this person or this particular group. And this you can see every day in every talk show. I mean, I have met some talk shows, people who came in Germany with, at that time, Prime Minister, and I saw they have other interests. They are coming on our money to promote the whole visit, and they were interested to go shopping and to go something else. I mean, this is the personal character. I'm not talking about the names, but the media should. The media is making the people, I mean, really crazy sometimes, because they are presenting a wrong picture. So there should be some control. There should be some control. It's not control of government. I'm not talking about control of government, but because I feel it. I'm from journalism, and I'm a journalist, so I feel that we should follow some line, and we should show the real thing, and not manipulate the whole thing, and then this is the whole thing which I want.
Thank you very much.
24 journalists have died because they wanted to show some real thing. Respect to them in Pakistan. 24 years old.
I think there is a very small percentage, not 80%, in the media, Pakistan, which is there are few, and I hope we will expose them. Do you want to say? Yeah.
My question is to Mr. Malian and Rita. How much do you feel the Pakistani media is impartial, and do you think that they are party between the government and the other institutions?
Thank you. Darsam, do you want to say something?
No.
He's a senior journalist and also office bearer of Pakistan Journalist Association.
Yeah. Actually, I second Mr. Tanveer Zaman's stance, and I feel that there are two sort of journalism going on, especially in Pakistan. One is working journalist, and the other party is the owner of the newspaper. They are journalists as well. So the working journalists have very limited resources to get involved in the news and to make the stories. So there are, in Pakistan, there are many limitations. As some of the speakers said that in Pakistan 24 journalists died, and that is very most dangerous country for
journalists.
So we should at least appreciate that, and not all of them, maybe 90% journalists are working for the people,
In difficult
for the
times.
cause, in difficult times. So maybe there are 2-3%.
We should appreciate them.
Thank you very much. The student from USA, do you have any question or comment? No? So you just observe.
We're just observing.
Thank you very much. I think there are two questions which Razia Asifdar and Tanveer Zaman have raised. Number one, ideological difference, that the owner have ideology and they promote their ideology, political ideology, and they don't allow the journalist to involve into their ideology, or sometimes journalists do squeeze in news here and there, but usually they are controlled by the owners and they always promote, and that's why I think I didn't say the name when I was referring to, but the Robert Murdoch became so strong that he went to John Major. He has said it in Lord Lushing inquiry, that he came to me and he said, change the European policy, otherwise I will destroy you. And he did destroy him. So I think if you can start, Rita, and then I'll come to you.
First of all, on the question of human rights in the media. So, again, can only speak for the BBC because I've been 30 years with the BBC nearly. And what I'm very grateful for, and I'm glad that I was with the BBC, where we grew up with this culture, when you were expected to be impartial and so on. Yes, I know that people see a bias in the choices, stories, programs, but I don't think they're intentional. So throughout our training, we will report something as fairly and accurately. What I try to say, and the difficulty I have with the Commonwealth Journalists Association, is that we have to be very clear about the difference between campaigning and reporting. So there will be a big difference between how, as a human rights activist, you will see something, and how, as a correspondent, we will see something. So very often we are told, oh, there are human rights abuses here, oh, there are human rights abuses there, you've got to do something, do something. What we have to keep in mind is, as the Commonwealth Journalists Association, we will act if it's a media issue, because media freedom is part of human rights. But we won't go out of we will take it as a news story. I will try and be accurate, but we won't be campaigning to try and improve human rights. And very quickly, the other issue of, I think points have been brought up, of ownership. And I find that a lot of these discussions, you're very correct, we do not talk about the owners who actually are pulling the string behind. And you cannot have true freedom of the media if we don't have free-thinking owners, and that is very rare. And also the lack of experiences which are coming out. I was in the Maldives this time last year, where there was a huge problem, because what people were saying to me is, they were in despair. They were saying, well, the journalists aren't rated, they've got the poorest level of salaries, and they have no proper training, and yet they sometimes dash into situations where they're not really prepared. So for example, they gave the case of two very inexperienced young journalists who decided to do an expose of bar girls, whatever you want to call it, in the Maldives. And of course what happened is they reported in such great detail. The next thing, the religious group started saying, well, this is for anti-Islamic, and they're going to have the death penalty. And it got terrible, because these journalists and other journalists found it difficult to defend them in a sense, because they weren't properly trained. They didn't know how far to go. So I think training is essential on every level of training of how to act as a journalist. You're armed with that, so if you are accused of not being responsible, etc., you know exactly why, how far you can push what you're doing, you're aware of the law. If you're not, then you are vulnerable.
Thank you very much, Rita. And I think already I've asked everybody, and now you very quickly.
No, I'm saying that media has power over politics, as we can see during Kuwait War, how the baby's face was bashed in Washington. It was played, and we all thought how evil Saddam Hussein was, and we think in one way. And we have seen in South America, we had a legitimate communist government. United States did not like it. Yeah. We were portrayed that they are the boogeyman. So media, apart from ownership, depend on the anchors. When they become powerful, the ordinary or politician buy them to become their mouthpiece. That's what, and in Pakistan, we have too many news channels. That should be curtailed. Like in UK, we have 2 running one, and Channel 4 and ITV3, that comes after 4 or 5. Why should we have 12 news channels in Pakistan?
85. Not
85. No, news channel, I mean, maybe I'm just plug the figure from out of that. And they keep bashing news after news to make the numbers. They're just beating the egg, as we can say, a phrase. Same news on now. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. There are 2 issues that I hope William will put some light on it. Number one is engineered news. Yes. When you send reporter or state sends, and then they are engineered. And second one is very important to make a point, that in war zones, yes, the journalists go under the protection of one army or other.
Embedded.
So they have to be very, their access is limited, if I may use the word. So they are only, I think Rita has made
it. They're embedded with one power, and so they're just...
They cannot go free journalists, because they don't have that resources to send their journalists into war zones without that protection.
Mr.
And I think
Mr. Lasha, in the last moment, you know, the Pakistan is a different story. There are TV channels which is run by non-professional people, like a burger, McDonald's guys, Mr. Lakhani is running other channel. The 2 or 3 they are professionals, honors. You know, otherwise they are doctors. They are not getting a job in a hospital. They create as their own channel. You know, in Pakistan is a different story. 2 or 3 channels they are real. Otherwise they are doing some like a fabric business. In the recession they started like a media channel. You know. So it's a different story.
I wanted to limit it to Pakistan as well. I know that now the multinationals have started their media groups just to protect their corruption and other things. Means Amr Mahmood is one of them.
The big importer and exporter is correct.
Many of them. So yes, Lakhani you mentioned as well. They have become, because they know that media is so powerful that the government will be frightened of arresting them or raising them.
Like Mr. Qadri said.
Making white money.
That's right. Or if a anti-media of their business raises a question, they say it is anti-us. So that is an issue which we will discuss at another stage. But can I ask William to speak on today's issue, the role of the media in a democracy? But also responding to
there were some very, very good points, and I won't be able to obviously cover everything. It does occur to me that there's a figure much closer to this country than Pakistan who used the media for political ends. In fact, who used the media to stop himself going to jail, and was so successful he was Prime Minister for more than 10 years in a European country. You might have guessed his first name was Silvio, and he finally was, I think he was brought down eventually because the public got sick of it, but the media didn't help very much. The media have been very largely bought up, to my estimation, and unfortunately they also have a system in public broadcasting where each of the channels is essentially associated with one of the parties. This is a very good example of how not to do it. And so, from what I hear, is Pakistan. I'm not an expert on the media in Pakistan whatever, but I recognize a lot of what was said. I recognize that somebody said 90% of the journalists are honest and would like to report accurately, but the pressures are enormous. I think that reflects the point that the media they're very much a mirror of the whole society, the politics and the economics. And what we see now, in this country we had the Beaver Brooks and the big press barons who used the powerful media as their own voice, sometimes manipulating, lying, and so on. And yet that was one of the foundations of democracy. What we see now in many countries, Pakistan is a good example of a country which is wealthy enough to sustain more media than it needs. And of course, as I said in my presentation, the powerful people will all want to get a chunk of it, as much as they can, get their message across so the media become a tool. This is not, by any means, limited to your part of the world. You see this across the former Soviet Union. You see it in Ukraine and other countries, in oligarchs everywhere. Indeed, inside the European Union, Bulgaria, Romania, this is the corruption, the pressure on the journalists. So what we need, as I was saying, is we need this protection for journalists who are working in the public interest. Through the local journalist associations have to be tough. The national governments have to do the business, and the rule of law, the justice system is vital, but we also need the sinews of the international rule of law, which is now on the agenda, and that's why I focus on this. I think the politicians and the journalists must be aware this is what can sustain and save life, because there are international mechanisms for saving life, but also the political pressure. These countries that misbehave against their media or simply allow them to be attacked, they live in fear of being exposed. And so they absolutely must be pressed. There's mention of Iran, and I couldn't agree with you more that we see Iranian press TV now as a prime example of a propaganda system for an authoritarian government. And there's a dilemma for journalists around the world. Will they participate in this program, or will they go on and deliberately expose it? No, they're so powerful that they tend to get away with it. And this is becoming really, this is the same with Russia Today, the Russian propaganda station. But the polarization is everywhere. That was mentioned in Pakistan, because you have a free-for-all, you have people owning the media with rival points of view and simply buying up what's been called the fusion of political power and media power because of globalization and because of a certain amount of wealth and also media literacy is something that we've never seen before. I think perhaps I should come back to the Leveson inquiry because I think it gives us many clues for the way forward. And I'm much more of an optimist about the pragmatic system, pragmatic method of the UK. I know we've been round and round, last chance saloon, badly behaved media, badly behaved politicians, more exposés and so on many times. But it does seem to me that what we see now for the first time is the media themselves coming together, the most unlikely people, Paul Dacre of the Daily Mail, and indeed the Times and others, they're all saying they want to sign up to an inclusive system that would have much more power to force corrections. They hate that. The media that have made mistakes absolutely hate that. If they were forced to do that, if there were fines and penalties that really hurt them, and above all, the new idea that's come forward is a contract between all of the mainstream media owners and a new press complaints commission, which would oblige the owners to enforce standards, professional standards. No deliberate manipulation. No, don't force your journalists to lie or to falsify. And that, if there's a conscience clause which is really respected, at least it's generally understood that this will be exposed, and then that will be humiliating for the owners who are found to be responsible. That public sanction at the end of the day is the most powerful defense of a free press, is an alert public, an informed public, and then that public and the pressure groups and the human rights watch organizations and so on may have to also campaign for a free judiciary and for cleaner politics, against corruption, because it's all linked. And I'm an optimist again from my experience in the last couple of years dealing closely with the regional security and human rights organizations in Europe, the OSCE, the Council of Europe, and particularly the UN and so on, because I think it's clearer now than ever before that how these things are connected. You need to have the framework where the watchdog will be protected. You also have to have the framework where the professional standards are observed and there is pressure for them to be observed, but you don't have the government holding the whip hand and running the media themselves.
I thank you everybody who has attended the meeting today, and I welcome our last audience, Amanullah Khan, the most senior journalist from Pakistan. Thank you very much for attending it. Later on, when we are leaving, he has got some leaflets for you to take it with you. So can I, Qadri Sahab, just 1 second? I thank you all, and particular thank to our friends from USA, Dr. Davis, and I hope you all will come to the Afghan meeting on 10th of July in CPA room at 6:30, and then our meeting on 11th at 6:30 in Boothraid room. I want to thank you all, and I want to thank the speakers, most of them, who have given us enlightened debate and discussion. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you very much. Have a safe journey.